Today, we're diving into a mindset that might sound familiar if you've ever felt like you have to finish everything on your plate or that you keep eating even when you're feeling a little bit full. This is the balance seeker archetype. It's one of the 5 weight loss archetypes from my quiz. If you haven't taken that quiz, it takes just a few minutes and it will help you discover your archetype and the strategies that work better for you. You can find it at lisadupreecoaching.com/quiz. And the link is included in the show notes as well. And if you're just finding the podcast, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to Midlife Mojo, the podcast all about how to be fit and flourish in your 50s, with me, your host with over 25 years of experience in the health, fitness, and wellness industry, Lisa Dupree. We'll be talking about all the things that support living life to the fullest. Let's dive in. So back to the balance seeker archetype. People who resonate with this archetype are often guided by a deep sense of responsibility and caring. And this shows up around food and eating as being a member of the Clean Plate Club, following strict meal schedules, or eating because of expectation or to please others. While these habits come from conscientiousness and caring, they can quietly get in the way of you reaching your health goals and your body transformation goals. So what does a balance seeker look like in everyday life? So as a balance seeker, things that show up typically are like finishing everything on your plate, even when you were full, because as a kid, you were taught to, quote unquote, clean your plate. I know one of my parents' personal favorites when I was a kid was saying, there are starving children in China that would be thrilled to have your dinner. So you are going to sit there until you eat every bit of it. And so I remember this so very clearly, like being a little kid and me and my brother just sitting at the table, staring at beets on our plate. They tasted like dirt to me. And I had to sit there until I ate them. And so this was something that I really resisted. I remember crying and just like being defiant and sitting there for an hour after dinner time. But at some point, you're a kid. You want to get up, you want to play, you want to do stuff. You don't want to sit there and stare at beets on a plate. And, I just gave in, right? And so at this point, it just really starts being a learned behavior. It's ingrained. It's like, okay, whatever you put on your plate, like for me to be able to just get this done and like eat, you're not really eating out of pleasure in some ways. You're just eating to clean your plate and get up and do something else, right? And this starts pretty early for some people. It also can manifest in kind of cringing at the thought of throwing away perfectly good food, eating everything that is served to you to avoid waste, or eating a few bites off of other people's plates when they're done eating so it doesn't get tossed in the trash. I used to do this all the time when my daughter was little. I ate way more chicken fingers than I should have or probably even wanted to because there was like 1.5 on her plate. It was really just too little to save for another meal, but it was too much to toss in the trash. And I just was like, oh, I'll just eat it. Didn't really necessarily want it. Don't really love chicken fingers, but, did want it to go to waste. It can also look like having dessert because everyone else is ordering dessert, or eating at social events just to be polite and go along with the crowd to kind of meet the expectation. Another thing is sticking rigidly to meal times and eating even when you're not hungry just because it's lunchtime and it's noon, or it's 6:30 or 7 and it's dinner time. These eating habits are often rooted in important rituals and values like responsibility, care, respect, connection. But they can also override your body's natural signals of hunger and fullness. And while these choices feel like right choices in the moment, they can really leave you feeling overly full, frustrated, and disconnected from your own needs. For these reasons, balance seekers often feel guilt or anxiety around food. Things like, I can't let this go to waste, or it's rude not to finish what someone else has made for me and served to me. Those things override your body's own signals and even your best intentions. You might struggle to recognize fullness. You might feel frustrated by your own people-pleasing tendencies after the fact, and even wonder, when is it actually okay to stop eating? And it isn't laziness. It's not a weakness. It's not lack of motivation. It's not lack of willpower. It is literally none of those things. It is a series of patterns that have been learned over a lifetime. And a lot of those times it started when we were really young and has just been ingrained. It just becomes subconscious. We don't necessarily think about it in the moment. And when it comes to weight loss, these habits, these ingrained patterns can keep you stuck because you end up prioritizing others' needs and others' expectations above your own. And this is where coaching comes in. When I work with someone who is in this balance seeker archetype or has some of these patterns, we really take care to reframe self-care as responsibility. And that helps to make the choices that are aligned with their goals much easier. It reduces that friction. Things like listening to your body, stopping eating when you're full, and then setting realistic and actionable boundaries around food aren't selfish, right? They're really skills that you can develop that allow you to care for yourself while also caring for others. And we might start with hunger and fullness scale practices to help boost awareness and reconnect with the body. Exercises to affirm your right as a person to stop eating when you're satisfied or when you have decided to. And then practical strategies to manage any food waste anxiety, like having smaller portions or strategies for effectively saving leftovers. We also work on honoring your values and really pulling forth that care and responsibility, not just for others, but for yourself, while you're also learning to set boundaries and making food choices that really support your health and overall body transformation goals. If you resonate with the balance seeker archetype, there's a few things to keep top of mind. Caring and responsibility are strengths. They're wonderful, wonderful character strengths. But they shouldn't override your body's own signals and your own goals. Hunger and fullness cues are important guides, and tuning in to those and really honoring those are very powerful for our overall health and well-being. Setting boundaries around food is a skill, and that skill is something that benefits you in every area of your life, not just in your weight loss journey. When you can set the boundaries around food, you honor yourself, you make aligned choices, you show up differently, and then that impacts other areas of your life. And then reframing waste is honoring your body really allows you to make those empowered choices without guilt. If you're ready to stop the people-pleasing around food and start listening to your body with confidence, I invite you to take my archetype quiz. It will help you discover your patterns and the strategies that work best for your personality and lifestyle. You can take that quiz at lisaduprecoaching.com/quiz. I'll drop a link in the show notes, so it's easy to just go click on that and get to the quiz. If you want more personalized guidance, you can schedule a free strategy session with me, and that's where we'll dive into your habits, patterns, and create a plan that really honors your values while helping you reach your goals. I'll also put a link to my website in the show notes that takes you directly to that information. Remember, knowing your patterns is power, and with the right tools, you can make choices that honor both your heart and your body. As always, thanks for listening to Midlife Mojo. Until next time, get out there and keep your mojo rising.